Hey there, this is Andrew again from Better Listings. I wanted to put together just a few short thoughts on AI and real estate for 2024. Predictions are often wrong, but I feel like I speak to a lot of agents who are really struggling to figure out exactly where AI is going and how it's going to impact their life as a agent. So I thought I'd take the angle of just talking about the technology from the perspective of someone who is a technologist and not really a real estate expert. I know enough about real estate to be dangerous, but I think the interesting part here is offloading what I know really well, which is technology, and letting you decide how you really think it's going to apply. But I'll give you my thoughts, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. So if anyone has anything they want to add, please feel free to reply to this video. So I think there's some obvious areas, and I think there's going to be some areas that really surprise us. The areas that feel really obvious to me are areas where we've seen technology impact real estate traditionally, but do a really poor job of it. And I think the most obvious area there has been property valuations and analysis. Historically, analysis and valuations have been based on algorithms that are complicated but relatively primitive in what they can do. They look for comparisons and similarities in text and descriptions, and maybe they're doing some small object detection in images, but typically they're doing some very basic things to go along and at mass return value. And that's not terrible. You can get some good insights out of that, but just because two houses are both 5 bedrooms doesn't mean that they're both the same. Just because they say the word renovated doesn't mean they're renovated the same quality. So I think we're going to see AI really have an impact here and do a much better job of property valuations and analytics in the near future. I think that's an area where historically technology has really underperformed. So, I think that kind of leads into the next point, which is personalized customer experiences. Today, when a real estate agent wants to manage their relationship with the client, they've got tools like the CRM, you've got email, you've got text, you've got your phone calls, but a lot of those rely on the agent being personally available. In the future, the very near future, and in some cases, I've already seen companies working on these sort of experiences. We are going to have a lot more AI powered chatbots. We're going to have a lot more AI powered calling. I know there's been rulings in the US that actually outlaw this in certain areas, but I don't think that's going to stop it from happening. The reality is that where there is money to be made, people will pursue this. So I do think we're going to see a lot of AI driven customer experiences ranging from text, phone calls, emails, chatbots, basically any point where someone can masquerade as a person and convince a person to book an appointment or agree to an appraisal or really anything that warms up a lead a little bit. I think we're going to see people work in this experience into their day-to-day operations. And I say that relates to valuation and analytics because I think a lot of the time the things that have made chatbots and email and whatever you want to call it inefficient in this area has been the fact that they can't really be driven with intelligent data. Now I think we're going to see way better experiences where chatbots can bring up things that feel very personalized to the person they're talking to. If they have an address, for example, it would be trivial to look up past listing information and talk about the growth in the property value from when the person originally purchased it. And that sort of thing, kind of appeals to, you could call it greed or just self-interest in extracting value from an investment that you've made in the past. So I think it increases the likelihood that someone's going to go through and consider making that appointment with the agent, or in this case, the agent's chatbot. So I think there'll be a lot of growth in the area around personalized experiences driven by data. And I think more for the agents, there's going to be a back office experience that comes up here that isn't necessarily about managing clients, but it's more about just managing their operations. So we're going to see agents want to become more efficient. That's really what Better Listings is all here about. We're here to make sure that the things that you're not good at or you don't want to do, you can effectively have a superpower now. You probably are not an expert writer, but we're here to help you write really great listing descriptions and do it really quickly. In the future, we'll help you do a lot more, but at the moment, that's our primary focus. So any operation that you have today that is driven by data, that requires editing by a human, I think we're going to see a lot of experiences that start to remove the human from that experience, whether it's the creation of social media content, your microsites, or, as I've already said, listing descriptions, blog posts, emails. I think it's very likely that we're going to see a lot of services appear over the next 12 to 24 months that really start to remove the people from those experiences. Obviously, that points out the obvious that a lot of these services are going to be around marketing. Marketing is an area where there's already been a lot of automation in the past. We've seen services like Facebook come out with AI algorithms that are designed to help marketers decide which tags, which taglines, headlines, text, images perform best, and allow them to upload 4 or 5 combinations of each, and then deliver to the right audience the best combination of those assets. I think real estate has been left pretty far behind when we think about the origins of real estate. Some agents out there will remember printing flyers and posting them on the window in their office, and many still do this. Printing feature sheets. Imagine if you could create a more optimized version of that feature sheet based on AI. Imagine if you could create a different experience for every single consumer. These things start to seem a little far-fetched, but and they are if you're talking about doing it physically on paper. But I think when we're talking about getting the right information to the right consumer, all of our digital experiences are going to become immensely more customized based on the information that ad networks and third parties have about these consumers. So I think you can expect your marketing materials to become easier to create and a lot smarter as time goes on. And I think that it brings up the point that a lot of agents are going to find this uncomfortable. I think a lot of people are going to say like, well, I provide the value here. I am the value. And you've been doing a lot of these things. So these are areas where the agents are going to say, you're removing the agent from the equation. And I would encourage agents not really to think about it that way. I would encourage you to think, how can you now spend your time better? Historically, many of us grew up in school using calculators. I remember my parents talking about using slide rules. Fortunately, I didn't have to use a slide rule in school, but for those of you that did, you may have the same experience that my father reminds me at times, where he says, I remember when slide rules weren't allowed because that was considered cheating. And I remember when calculators were considered cheating. That's not to say that you shouldn't know how to do arithmetic in your head. That's just to say that these tools help us do things better and faster. And I think we need to look at AI in a very similar way, where we can say, okay, if I'm not spending time writing descriptions now, what am I spending time doing? And I think one of the obvious answers is you're delivering more value to your customer. You're finding ways to help that person sell their house faster for the best price possible in a very efficient means, allows them to get on with their life. You're giving them a great experience. You get paid. Everybody's happy. Whether or not you made the marketing materials kind of becomes irrelevant. So I would encourage people to say, hey, give it a try, embrace these things. They have the possibility to have a big effect, a positive effect on your job. So yeah, that's it. 2024 is going to be interesting. We're going to see a lot of changes. I think it's going to keep changing. I think it's going to happen faster. I think it's going to accelerate. So yeah, get ready for an interesting ride. And I encourage you all to enter it with an open mind and ready to try new things. Good luck.